Hello, guys. Welcome to another chapter of the Cinnamon Chats. And here we have another guest today. Her name is Emily. And Emily, please tell us, who are you?
Hi, everybody. My name's Emily. I'm a writer. You can find me on Instagram at Emily's Eyes Explore, Twitter on the same name, and my website as well. I've been writing about backpacking with mental health issues.
Yeah. Well, Emily, tell us, how did your adventure begin?
So my adventure began a few years ago. I'd always kind of traveled a bit with my ex-boyfriend, but I'd never ever done anything by myself. And I'd always created a list of places that I wanted to go, but I never felt brave enough to do it. And then a series of quite unfortunate events happened within the same week or two, and it drove me to not a great place, and I just needed out. And I thought, life's short, we might as well start now. So I booked a trip, a very, very big trip. I decided to fly to Spain and live there to learn Spanish. I flew to South America, India, Asia, Indonesia, Australia. COVID happened and I had to come back. But yeah, I planned this trip very spontaneously, I think. And these events just led me to go, and best thing I've ever done.
That is awesome. So you're a solo woman traveler. How's been your experience? That switch of traveling with your ex-boyfriend and then traveling by yourself. What differences you notice?
Okay, so as someone who has been diagnosed with mental health issues, my doctor said that I shouldn't go. My therapist at the time said it was a very bad idea. And I decided to do it anyway. I'm not obviously promoting people to go against that advice, but for me personally, it was something that I had to do. And I was really, really nervous. So I took about 4 notepads so that if I was ever feeling really kind of trapped, I would be able to write down how I was feeling and kind of work my way through it. And so that's what I did. Every time I was feeling anxious, I would write. And that's kind of how my writing career kind of started, actually. But that was a way in which I was processing how I was feeling.
That's pretty cool.
Not bad.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. So now in your experience, for how long you've been traveling by yourself?
So we're in 2021 now. I always forget. So I've been traveling since September 2018. And then it came to a close or an end because of COVID last March. So I was actually meant to be flying on to New Zealand as well, and I had to come home. So yeah, I've been traveling for maybe a year and a half by myself, which was, I kind of still look at it and I can't quite believe that's me, because in my previous diary entries, all I was writing was, I can't do this. What am I doing? I can't do this. I'm all alone. I don't know what to do. It's actually really interesting to look back at the things that I was writing and then to look back at how far I've come.
So what would you say, let's say there's ladies watching this video right now and they say oh, she's so cool. I wish I could be Emily. What kind of tips would you give them as to travel by themselves?
Okay, so first I would say that I am the least coolest person ever. So
that's not true.
So if I can do it, anyone can do it. I think the tips that I would give is to do everything that you feel is right for you, but to be safe and not to be stupid. So I think everyone, when you're in a foreign country, you might let your guard down a bit. And that's not to say that you shouldn't enjoy and have these really cool experiences that traveling brings, but to always have your guard, up a little bit. Don't trust everything that anyone says, because ultimately you're there by yourself. So you have to look out for you. You can't rely on other backpackers or other people to do the looking out for you as well. And I mean that in terms of even when you're going to bars, going to clubs, you're walking by yourself, you need to have your back throughout. You can't rely on other people. Oh, I have another tip as well.
Go ahead.
One really helped me. So as someone who thinks a lot and who had never been by myself before, I expected every hostel to be like every hostel, really friendly people, welcoming people. And sometimes that's not the case. So in various hostels that you can visit, cliques are formed or groups are formed, and sometimes you won't be welcomed and you might be ignored. And definitely there was a few hostels in Colombia where I felt really left out, and I felt, I was starting to internalize it and be like, oh, it's because I'm so weird, or it's because I'm this or that. And in fact, it's nothing to do with me. It's to do with them. Not everyone really cares about, making new friends. And the more I traveled, the more, sometimes new people would come in and I would say hi, but I wouldn't like make a huge effort because I was tired or I wanted my own time. So I would always say, don't take other people's actions personally. Especially when you don't know them, because it's usually not about you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So what would you say that has been your biggest cultural challenge overseas, or cultural story though?
Cultural story. That's a really good question. So a time where I was kind of shown a culture that I wasn't aware of, or how it impacted me?
More like the first one.
Okay, so I wouldn't say it was like a cultural shock, but it was more when I lived in Spain. So when you're living in Britain or in the UK, whatever, there's a massive emphasis on drinking, going out and getting really wasted, getting drunk, having a fun time, which is great fun. But when I was living in Spain, what I really loved is the fact that people drunk and they ate really, really late. And they didn't do it to get wasted. They drunk just because of the moment and because they wanted to catch up with friends, which I found really, really nice. And also, so how Spanish people talk about having siestas, which are mid-afternoon naps. I thought that was a joke. So I was living with a host family for my first month in Spain who spoke no English. And I was living in a place called Sevilla, which is in the south of Spain. And their accent is very, very different to the north of Spain. So it's even harder to understand. And for someone who had never spoken a word of Spanish, I genuinely couldn't communicate. Anyway, so I'd gone to school. So I was studying at Spanish school. And the mother had said, I'm going to have a siesta in the afternoon. I thought she was joking. So I came back from school and I think I'd left my key at home. And it was 2 p.m., sorry. And I was knocking on the door because I couldn't get in. And I was like banging on the door because I was stuck and I couldn't get inside the house. And then she comes up and she was like, I was taking a siesta. And I was like, hey, you guys actually do that? That is crazy. I just read about that stuff. That I found funny. And she always took a siesta at like 2, 3 p.m., which I just found hilarious because I just didn't even think that existed. So, yeah, and I interrupted it once. I never interrupted again.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, well, we all need a siesta though. That's very common here
in Peru.
Once in a while, depends. In Lima, we don't do that a lot. And in Cusco, I don't think so. I haven't seen that. I know that in Puerto Maldonado they do that because of like they have like a long lunch breaks because it's really hot there. But yeah, but I do once in a while take siestas though when I have very early mornings.
And you call it a siesta, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I used to get the two confused, siesta and fiesta.
Fiesta, yeah.
I've made quite a few Spanish errors in my time learning. So
yeah, I'm gonna take a fiesta. Woo!
Yeah, I was like, yeah, she
That's really funny. So of all the culinary experiences on food around the world, which one would you say that are your top 3? Okay,
you'll love me for saying this. I love ceviche. Oh my gosh. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's raw fish, isn't it? I think that's what it is. raw tuna or salmon.
Your fish cooked with lemon.
Yeah, no, it's like, yeah, with lime.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it was so good. I was in Lima and I just stuffed my face on unlimited ceviche. I loved, where else did I love? So Laos and Cambodia, they do really, really nice street food. I don't know what it is. I just was like, I want that and that and that. It was quite spicy. But yeah, they did really, really good food. And Spanish food. Lots of paella and jamon. Even though my dad will go mad at me saying that, because I'm Jewish, so we can't technically eat pig.
Okay.
The ham's really good. Sorry, Dad.
Yeah, and greetings to him.
Yeah, the food in Spain is really, really great. Have you visited Spain?
No, yet.
Oh, you gotta go after COVID. You gotta.
Hashtag coming soon. So what would you say the house, like, after all these experiences, like from where you started and from where you are now, how does traveling has rewired you, mine, and Emily as a person after all those experiences?
So when I started traveling, I had obviously I got diagnosed with depression and a panic disorder. I had lost my granddad. I'd broken up in a relationship. My dad had gone into hospital. My brother had. I've never experienced unhappiness like it, and it was life consuming. It was the worst period for me. And when I left to go traveling, I kind of left with the thought that I needed to see life was kind of worth being around for, right? So as someone who is a very bubbly person, I couldn't come to terms with the fact that there was a part of me that actually could get really sad. And I thought I was the only one suffering with it. So when I went traveling, I said, I'm not going to put on a face anymore. I'm going to be honest. And if I'm feeling low and I can't go out, I'm going to say it. And if I'm feeling anxious, I'm going to be honest about it to anyone that I meet. And I'm going to open this conversation up about mental illness. And from doing that, I have found myself, and it's incredible. And what's also crazy is that so many other people deal with mental health issues that you wouldn't know about. So I started to write about their stories, obviously with their permission. And I wrote about a girl who also suffered from depression and anxiety. I wrote about a friend of mine who suffered from bulimia, and he's a man. And I didn't know how common it was for males to suffer with an eating disorder. The more people I met, the more I realized I wasn't abnormal, and how normal it was to be someone who is bubbly and friendly, and you can be that, and you can also be something else on certain days. And I think I've just become more accepting of that, and I've just also realized that I can do a lot by myself. So when you're in long-term relationships, you lose the ability to be independent just because maybe you don't need to be so much. Or I don't think I ever was independent, and I think I relied on other people a lot. And so from having this experience, I've gained a lot of independence. I've gained a lot of inner strength. And yeah, without sounding like a total cliche, I really feel like I found what it is to be myself, and I'm so accepting of that. And all the writing that I did has led me to a writing career. So I'm buzzing about that. It's done a lot.
So where they can find your writing?
So you can find it on my website. It's www.emilyseyesexplore.com. That's kind of like my little, I don't call it a blog because I wouldn't call myself a blogger. It's my online diary. I write about everything: romance, lack of romance, friendship, life, depression, anxiety, backpacking, one of my favorite articles that I wrote on there was kind of looking at what Instagram doesn't show you about backpacking. So, what to do if you're in hospital in a random country. What should you do? Because I ended up in hospital severely ill in Malaysia. What to do if you get robbed, because I had some of my stuff stolen. Things that you don't really see on the highlight reel. I've written about what Instagram doesn't show you, because these things do happen and you've just got to be prepared, and you just continue to move forward with it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, guys, that website is going to be in the description below, so you guys gotta look it up. And thank you, Emily, for your time, for teaching us about your experience on traveling. We appreciate it a lot.
Thank you so much, friend.
Okay, have a great day.
You too.
Her eyes make the stars look like they're not shining. Her hair falls perfectly without her trying. She's so beautiful.